Holy crap, that's right, Lois. It's live action Mr. Cow. That's the intro we're going with. Welcome, one and all, to a very special Christmas themed episode here on Mr. Cow, where we are going to be recycling an old video for a new audience. That's right, we're bringing back the adult animation tier list. And I'm pretty excited to give this a go again. I think it's been a year or two since I did it the last time. So this is what we're doing today. Happy holidays, all that stuff. I'm dressed up in my Christmas cap and I've got my Christmas lights up, complete with, what would it be, left side Alf? There we go. That's all you need. So you guys know how this works. Tier list, stuff goes on the tier list. I talk about it a little bit. That's all there is to it. It's roughly the exact same one that I used last time, roughly being the key word. I've added about 12 or 13 shows to this list. Not all of them from this year. There's a couple of shows I wanted to say some stuff about, a few shows that I'm sure people are curious about where I would put them on a tier list. So I updated it slightly, but it is still the core main grasp of adult animation over the last 20, 30-ish years in American television. Now, every time I do this, I swear that I know like half the shows, and then as we move through it, I realize more and more that I don't actually have that much knowledge on some of these projects, so that's why we have this nice little haven't watched, no opinion slot. I'm gonna put some stuff down there that I've maybe seen an episode or two of. Guess we'll see. I guess we should just start doing it. I guess that's the real Christmas key. Let me fix my little ball on a hat. First show is South Park. I am A-okay with putting South Park in A. South Park isn't a show that comes up on the channel all that much. I'm not sure why. I've seen South Park through a ton of times. Maybe it's just difficult to talk about and kind of dissect because it's kind of already commentating on stuff, or commenting on stuff, not commentating. So I don't know if like a commentary video would serve episodes that are already commenting on something that well. I've just been kind of unsure of how to approach South Park on this channel, but I do really love it, and I think A tier is perfectly fair. Not quite S. There's definitely a few drawbacks to South Park, some seasons that aren't so good, some episodes that are just boring and unwatchable, but I do really enjoy South Park. Duckman, haven't seen enough Duckman to rank it. Beavis and Butthead I have watched a lot more of in the last year and a half. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a little before my time. For right now, you know, it is Mike Judge, so I'll put it in C. That's nothing against Mike Judge or Beavis and Butthead. I just haven't seen that much of it, and I'm kind of just meh on it. It didn't really blow me away, it didn't really hook me, so C tier for right now. American Dad. American Dad has come up on the channel a handful of times this year. There are episodes that I really, really love and some that I absolutely despise. I like that they're able to keep things so fresh with each episode, for better or worse. They get really quirky and weird with their premises, and the plot always unfolds in a pretty irreverent, unpredictable way, which is fun to see. It's kind of new. It's not as predictable as something like Family Guy with its formulaic content. American Dad is more chaotic, I guess. And I like it a lot. I don't know if it's quite A tier with South Park. It's probably a B. I'd say B. And we'll leave it there for right now. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is one that I had not seen a ton of. Now I have seen slightly more of, and I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty funny. I haven't seen all of it. I did enjoy what I saw. Maybe it's not fair to do this having only seen some of it, but I'm okay putting Aqua Teen Hunger Force up with American Dad because they both have made me laugh pretty consistently. And like, for the time spent watching it, yes, I've seen a whole lot more American Dad than Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I feel like Aqua Teen Hunger Force still has a big grouping of episodes that I've seen that have made me laugh really, really hard. So I'm okay putting that in B for right now. Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. I do enjoy Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. We have a bunch of Adult Swim shows all in a row. You know what? I'll start with Harvey Birdman because I love Harvey Birdman. I got horribly sick one day, I believe, maybe a week, however long it took me, but I watched all of Harvey Birdman in a very short span of time. And I really, really loved it. I don't know if it's quite S tier. It might be A. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember just sitting there fairly ill and laughing like crazy. So I'll put Harvey Birdman in A. Space Ghost Coast to Coast is not as good. Maybe a C. I'd probably put it in C. Just I don't remember a ton from it. I remember a lot from Harvey Birdman. I remember a lot of funny scenes, but Space Ghost not as much. C, by the way, in case anyone is like, oh my god, is C like bad? No, C is like average. It's like, that's not so bad. That's pretty good. Pretty good, in fact. B would be really good, and then A would be great, and then S would be just out of this world amazing. D and F are where it starts to get like, D is like, maybe there's an episode or two. F is like no redeeming qualities. And then Black and O'Gwyn, you'll see what that's for a little bit later. If you already know who that is, then I'm very sorry that you know those two. Xavier, Renegade, Angel, exact same as last time. It's going in S tier. No questions, nothing has to be said. Everyone should watch Xavier, Renegade, Angel. Xavier, I say Xavier, it doesn't really matter. Great show, super weird, super funny, like it a lot. C-Lab 2021. I've seen some C-Lab. I did not enjoy C-Lab. I am not going to rank C-Lab because even if I go back to the episodes I think on, I can't remember anything from them. So I don't know if I don't know if I'd put it in D or C according to that. You know what? We'll do D for right now. We'll do D for right now because I have seen some of it. Frisky Dingo, never checked it out. I just never grabbed me. Same with Squidbillies. I never really watched Squidbillies. These next 5, I believe. I've seen all of these, but for whatever reason, these two didn't grasp me. Venture Brothers, now that we have the movie that has come out and it's sort of completed its run, maybe there'll be more stuff down the line. I really love the Venture Brothers. It's fantastic. There are so many great characters and storylines and so much great world building and these weird, overly convoluted plots. It's just amazing. It's a really, really great show, and seeing how the characters have grown from season 1 to the film that came out, I believe this year. I'm pretty sure it was summer of this year. Maybe it was early, like late last year, but I really enjoy the Venture Brothers. I'll put it in A for right now. There's a few drawbacks. The first season isn't great. It's kind of just okay. The second season really starts to pick up, and then it's one of those shows that really does only get better as it goes along. Kind of goes to show you, a few of these shows on this list only got like a season or 2. It shows what can happen if you just give a show some time to find its footing. Because Venture Brothers, as it went along, in my opinion, I feel like the later seasons are when it's at its best, it's at its biggest. Right after the Gargantua 2 special that they did is where it gets like super crazy, incredibly good. Not that the earlier episodes after season 1 aren't good. They're all great too. But I really like Venture Brothers. Boondocks. I can talk about Boondocks now. Let me fix my Christmas cap so we can talk about Boondocks. I love Boondocks. I really do. I have seen it for the first time this year, actually very recently, maybe about a month ago I watched it. I don't think I completed it. I stopped like a little bit into season 4, and most of the people that I've seen talk about this show say it drops off a lot in season 4, so I think that kind of makes sense why it would kind of fall out of my interest right about there. I do intend to finish it. I loved the first 3 seasons, though. The first 3 seasons of the show are just tremendous. They are fantastic. I think that the 4th season, having not finished it, kind of holds it back a bit, so I won't put it in S for right now. Although the 3 seasons, I think the first 3 are worthy of an S rank, but the 4th season is kind of slippery right now, for lack of a better term. But I think A is fair. Boondocks is tremendous. If you haven't seen it, absolutely give it a try. Robot Chicken. Robot Chicken is a sketch comedy show, of course, from Seth Green, I believe. I love my stop motion animation. I love my sketch comedy. Robot Chicken is going in C because, like many sketch comedy shows, it may have a really good sketch now and then, but it's gonna have a bad one to kind of cancel that out. So it's right in the middle for me. It's kind of mediocre. We're gonna take a quick tea break here, and I ain't talking tolerance break. A little chemical dependency joke for you. I've got some tea here I'm gonna jump into. Rick and Morty. I am not fully caught up in Rick and Morty. I've done my best to. I've seen like the first 6 episodes of the new season without Justin Roiland's involvement. It definitely has slipped up a bit in the last 2 seasons. This most recent one is very, very good so far with what I've seen. So I think I'll put Rick and Morty in A for now. I really, like, back in the day, Rick and Morty was one of my favorite shows. It was one of the reasons I got, like, really amped about adult animation in high school, because it was just so cool, so unique. It was written by the guy from Community, Dan Harmon, and I really, really love Community on top of that. So I really like Rick and Morty. I think you can see why if you've ever seen this show before. There's a ton of stuff to sink your teeth into when it comes to characters, fun sci-fi premises. It can be a little childish and crude at times, which is probably my least favorite part of Rick and Morty. I wish sometimes it would just kind of, lean into the fact that they have this incredible team of writers, maybe pull off of the improv a little bit and the dumb fart jokes and stuff like that. Maybe some people love it, but I think Rick and Morty is at its best when it's putting together like these structured jokes that have setups and payoffs, like the gun bit from this most recent season, which I won't spoil. But that's a bit with an actual setup and payoff. It's not dependent on, like, toilet humor overly to the point for its only source of comedy, which Rick and Morty has a few episodes like that, or at least scenes like that. But I do really love it. I think A tier is A-okay with me. This one confused me for a second. It's Metalocalypse, which I have also seen a good chunk of Metalocalypse this year, because for some reason I didn't know that Brendan Small was a part of this, which is laughable now, now that I know about Metalocalypse. Brendan Small, of course, is from one of my favorite shows of all time that's actually on this list coming up in a second. Won't say what it is. I really like Metalocalypse. I have not seen all of it yet, but I'm going to put it in B for right now. There you go. Futurama, one of my favorite adult animated shows. Ooh, Futurama. You know what? I think this might upset some people, but I think just for what this show did for me with adult animation and animation in general, I think I'm going to put Futurama in S. I know it's not perfect. I know it has a lot of issues, but Futurama is really, really great, and it has some standout episodes that rival anything else on this list so far, and more stuff to come on top of that. It just has some really fantastic episodes, and it's one of my favorite shows. I like it a lot. So I'm going to put it in S. It's my list. Don't at me or nothing. We'll leave that there. 12-Ounce Mouse. I was a little hard on 12-Ounce Mouse when I talked about it last. I have since seen more of it. I made a point to check out more of it because some people were upset with how I ranked it. I think it's fine. I'm going to put it in C for right now. I haven't seen all of it. I haven't seen all of these shows, or the entirety of these shows that I've ranked, but I have seen some of them. 12-Ounce Mouse is weird. It doesn't grip me that much, but it's kind of a cool, like, chill out. If you're up at 3 a.m. and you're drunk or high, you're like, I guess 12-Ounce Mouse. That's kind of that Adult Swim era of late night weird television. That's kind of how I think of 12-Ounce Mouse. It's very case by case, I think. Some nights I would be in the mood for it, but most nights I would say no. I am starting to get sweaty because of this stocking cap that I am wearing. But it's a Christmas video, so I'm going to power through so that we can carry on. It looks a bit screwed up now, but that's okay. We'll carry on to F is for Family, a show I haven't talked about in a pretty long time, actually, and I'm kind of kicking myself for doing that. I used to talk about it a lot. I do really enjoy the show. It's since ended. I've seen all of it. It can be pretty crude and gross at times. It leans into kind of the lowest common denominator humor occasionally, which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that kind of humor if it's in the right setting. With shows like Rick and Morty or F is for Family, I feel like they're at their best in different areas. So I wish they would kind of lean away from that kind of content. And I know it's like, oh, well, you can't be like this highbrow comedy every single time. You can't expect that from a writing team that's just trying to make an audience laugh. Sometimes you just go for the easy joke, and sometimes the easy joke is all you need. But F is for Family is like set in the 70s. I want more 70s content. I want more sci-fi jokes and sci-fi premises in Rick and Morty. I want more of the concept behind it driving the humor than just the bodily functions of the characters. But F is for Family, I'm going to put in B. I think that's a fair spot for it right now. It kind of got screwed over with its ending. It kind of came to a abrupt end there, so you know what? I think B is fair. Disenchantment, I am horribly, horribly torn on. I don't know if this show is good or bad. So, like, I have not seen it in a little bit. I've done a handful of videos on it. I just don't know what to think of it. It's so undercooked and perfectly cooked at the same time in some areas. It's, you know what? It's a perfect C TV show. It just doesn't have enough to be really, really good, but it's not so bad that I would put it down in like D or something like that. Big Mouth. Oh my god. Boy, am I torn over Big Mouth. I've said it before, Big Mouth has a lot of redeeming qualities. Its art style is not one of them. Its sense of humor does not tend to be one of them for me. It's definitely made me laugh before, so I'll give it that. I'd go so far as to say the first 2 seasons are pretty good. Like, I'd probably put it in like C or B for that, but since then it has just completely grinded to a halt. They did take my advice. It was a point I made in, I think, my last Big Mouth video for a review of season 6 or something like that. I said, it's a show about growing up and going through puberty and going through these changes, and we've been in the same grade for like 6 full seasons. Part of growing up is, get this, growing up, but they want this show to go for like 15 seasons, so you gotta make each grade like 4 to 5 seasons long, which is just stupid. It's very, very stupid. I think they've made a lot of dumb decisions with how they approach this show, but the first 2 seasons are still kind of okay. It's just not worth it after that point. I did watch the first episode of the new season, and I did not like it, and so I just moved on, didn't want anything to do with it. I figured I'd talk about other things. D for Big Mouth, I think is fair. Dr. Katz, I have not seen Dr. Katz, and I desperately, desperately want to, because it seems really, really good, and like something I would enjoy. Home Movies, this is the show I was talking about from Brendan Small and Lauren Bouchard, I believe, from Bob's Burgers and Lucy, Daughter of the Devil. Home Movies is one of my favorite shows of all time. If you have not watched it, give it a chance. I know the first season can be a little bit rocky, but it is such a unique, cozy, real feeling show that kind of has, it's Home Movies, it has a homemade quality to it. Things feel like they're kind of just being put together on the fly, and characters are coming up with their lines like improvisationally, but it feels natural for the way that the interactions are set up and the dialogue is set up. It's just so good, and I love it a lot. Home Movies, it's kind of the predecessor a bit to Bob's Burgers, and I like Bob's Burgers, but there's something about Home Movies and the music that they use and the childlike wonder of making films and things like that. Of course, being someone that makes content on YouTube pretty casually, making your own stuff is something I can very much relate to, and it's something I've been doing for a long time. So Home Movies is S tier. No questions, please. Lucy's Daughter of the Devil, I just mentioned that. It's another Lauren Bouchard show on Adult Swim. Haven't seen a ton of it yet. I asked in my Bob's Burgers pilot video if it's worth checking out. I believe it was that one that I asked about it. And a lot of people were like, it's fine. It's kind of okay. So haven't checked it out yet. This is one I added to the list, Arcane. Now, don't get mad at me, but Arcane only has 1 season right now, and it is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen. However, this is still an ongoing show, and yes, Futurama is technically still an on-running show, and some of these have finished the runs, but I'm going to put Arcane in A for right now, just because I want to see how that second season, kind of pulls it out. Does it go from this first incredible season down to sort of a more really well-animated action show with less of a good story? I'm not sure in the future. Right now, I'll put it in A. It's definitely closer to an S than a B. In fact, I'd say it's right there on that line between A and S. But I just want to give it a little more time, I think. It's one and done for the season right now, and I'm not fully sold on putting it up in S until I've seen a little bit more from it. Brickleberry. Well, would you believe this? It's going in Black and O'Gwyn. Now, I don't have the tab pulled up, so I'm going to try to do this from memory, and if I fail horribly, I will correct myself in editing. But I believe it's Roger Black and Wacko or Waco O'Gwyn. They are the creators behind Brickleberry, behind Farzar, and Paradise PD. 3 of the worst shows I've ever seen. I know there's a big cult following for Brickleberry, and I can understand why some people would be into shows like this, but it's just so goddamn stupid and dumb and mindless, and everything about it feels like it's machine made. Like this could be an AI generated adult animated comedy. It's so generic and so boring, and they reuse jokes and characters, and they act like, oh yeah, that's just our style of comedy. These two creators, mostly, I believe it's Wacko O'Gwyn, I don't remember if it's Roger Black and him, but Wacko O'Gwyn has said some stuff in the past that kind of puts it back on the criticism. Whenever people will say, like, you guys reuse a lot of jokes and characters, why not come up with something new? He'll kind of cross his arms and be like, oh, well, that's just our style of show, and a lot of people don't get that. It's not really for them, you know? You can't complain about it because, it's what we do. Like, dumb stuff like that. I went over it a little bit in my Farzar review, but I don't care for Brickleberry, and for that matter, I don't care for Paradise PD. I think this is Ugly America. Don't know what that is, so just gonna move on from that. Bob's Burgers. I have not seen all of Bob's Burgers because I feel like every time I try to rewatch it, I bite off more than I can chew because there's like 200 some odd episodes or something like that. Now and still coming out consistently. They're just churning them out at this point. Bob's Burgers is a B. B for Bob's Burgers. It's really pretty good. Pretty dang good. Archer. This is one I didn't get to rank last time because I didn't know what it was because it's just CH, which is the one drawback of this tier list we have here, is that I don't always know what they are. I tried really hard this time to make sure I knew what every single one was before going into it. This is for sure Archer, and Archer is for sure going in B as well. Archer is really, really good. It's very, very good. But as it went along, I think it went for just a tad too long. And by a tad too long, I mean like maybe 4 seasons too long. Right as they go to like the weird spin-off universes or whatever, it kind of lost me. I really liked the world that they created and the characters and how they interacted. And to kind of make it all these one-off season stories, it just did not work for me. So it's going in B tier. The Cleveland Show goes in F. There's a joke or two I will laugh at the Cleveland Show, but the show as a whole is terrible. I've mentioned it before that I tried to do a full series review of the Cleveland Show one time, and the video only wound up being about 5, maybe 3 minutes long even, because I couldn't finish it. It was just awful. It was like pulling teeth. Teeth. It was like pulling teeth, not teeth. I hated it. It's terrible. Mission Hill! I love Mission Hill. Mission Hill is a very, very cool show that everyone should watch. I think most of it is available on YouTube. Where does Mission Hill go? Oh boy, it's only got 1 season. It was one of those shows that was kind of cut down before it had a chance to garner an audience. It's got a great, great art style. Their use of colors is just incredible. It's such a unique looking show. There really isn't much like it out there right now. So yeah, if you're a fan of adult animation, check out Mission Hill. I'm gonna put it in A for right now. I don't think it's quite an S, but it's definitely very, very good. Haven't seen the Clerks animated series, probably never will. That's just how it goes. The Critic had 2 seasons and then was canceled. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, despite the kind of changes they made in the 2nd season. But is it S tier worthy? That's the real question here. This is a very good show. It has a real cozy feeling to it. It's very, very funny, too. Jon Lovitz is great in it. The whole cast is just great in it, and it's tremendously well written on top of that. But the 2nd season does have a few drawbacks with the art style changing and the kind of focus of the show shifting away from our main character, whose name is actually escaping me right now. Man, that's a tough one. It'll hurt me not to do it, but I think I'm just going to have to do A for right now. That one kind of hurts to not put an S, but for some reason I just can't sell myself on it. Downtown, I have seen an episode of Downtown. I'm not going to rank it right now because, for one, it's a one-and-done series from what I understand. It was 1 season, and I think it'd be unfair of me to rank it based off just 1 single episode, which is it's kind of what I did with 12 Ounce Mouse. But, I mean, the 12 Ounce Mouse episodes they're tiny little things, and you kind of get it a bit more quickly. I don't know. Downtown I'll put in no opinion right now. 12 Ounce Mouse I think is fair in C. I think I understand what's coming with 12 Ounce Mouse. Alan Gregory, you can join our buddies Black and O'Gwyn. That is a terrible, terrible show. If you don't remember Alan Gregory, it's the hit adult animated comedy that was canceled just about as quick as it was picked up, starring Jonah Hill as a little man. I guess. But yeah, it's god-awful. I did a video on it a handful of years ago at this point. Don't know how good that video is, honestly, at this point, looking back at it. My content has changed a lot over the last year or so, and sometimes I'll look back at videos and kind of be like, that's not great. That actually leads us into the next one. I did these two videos kind of close to each other, Napoleon Dynamite and Alan Gregory. We're just gonna skid on by Alan Gregory. Awful show, uncomfortable, weird, angry, vindictive, just unfunny mess of a show. Napoleon Dynamite I have come around on more recently. This is Napoleon Dynamite, the animated series, not the film. Just gonna make that clear. If you didn't know it had an animated series, there you go, I guess. Now you know. It's not really worth watching. It's probably D. It's kind of charming at times, but as a whole, it's just, kind of forgetful mess. Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon. Now, I would have seen this years and years ago. I don't remember liking it. I never really loved Ren and Stimpy all that much. I'll say happy joy sometimes, but it's not really my thing. D, F. Adult party cartoon's the weird, gross one, right? With the, like, really uncomfortable, like, torture scenes and stuff like that. I'm not gonna rank this one because I don't fully remember what it is. I think it's adult party cartoon, so I'd assume it's the really gross, weird, uncomfortable one. But you know what? We'll just put it in F, and we'll put Brothers Grunt right there with it. Brothers Grunt is at least, disgusting looking, which is something that can be said for it. So I won't put it down with these guys. It's at least aesthetically unique, but it's awful. Moonbeam City, don't know what that is. You know what? We'll get these two out of the way. Lil Bush and the Cartoon President. I'm never gonna watch them. It's just not gonna happen ever. I don't know why. I think they're both Comedy Central shows, and they keep doing stuff like this. It's still going on, and I'm sure they're gonna continue doing it. These weird, overly political, easy joke-making cartoons or puppet shows or whatever they wind up being. But yeah, these two, just no interest whatsoever. Legends of Chamberlain Heights. You could join Alan Gregory and Paradise PD and Brickleberry. This is one of those shows that I remember seeing when it first came out and wanting to give it a chance because I was like, oh, new adult animated show. It's kind of weird. It's got a really gross, unique art style, I guess you could say. But the show is awful, like unwatchably awful. So that's where it's going. Family Guy, okay. Family Guy is very hit or miss these days, but back in the day, it was pretty consistently good. I have a lot of episodes that I've talked about this year. In fact, this is probably the most talked about show on this channel this year is Family Guy. Ooh, well, it's not going in C, so it's gonna be A or B. I'm gonna put it in B for right now, because you gotta remember with shows like American Dad or Family Guy or The Simpsons, which we'll get to later, is they may have had a really good run. They may have had a spot where they're just all hits. They're making really great content. But as a whole, if you look at the big picture of it all, it's actually pretty average. But I think those good episodes are enough to pull it out of C and put it into B. At least for me. That's the way I sit on it. And I've talked about it a lot this year. Clearly, I have somewhat of a connection to Family Guy. We talked about censorship. Last week, I think, is when, by that time this video goes up, maybe 2 weeks, we'll see. But yeah, I think B's fair. Adventure Time. This is one I added because I recently finished a rewatch of Adventure Time. And by recently finished, I mean 2 days ago, I think I finished my full rewatch of the show. And I wanted to talk about it because I wasn't going to do a dedicated video on my rewatch. It's great. It's S tier. I absolutely adore Adventure Time. I don't think that's any surprise to anyone. Knowing that I love animation, I would probably love Adventure Time. It's fantastic, and its spin-offs are all great too. Fiona and Cake is getting a second season or a follow-up or something like that now, so it's still technically going, but the original series, I think, works really, really well. It's sort of the same thing people say about Harry Potter, where, like, the audience grows up with the books as the characters grow up, so it's like the first few books, yeah, they're easier reads for younger audiences. And then as they go along, they get bigger and more complex and, more adult themes and stuff like that. More character growth, more changes. And Adventure Time really is. The cast of characters are unrecognizable from the pilot episode to the last episode of the series, and they go through changes that make sense for their character, especially Finn. So it's a really satisfying show to watch all the way through, and I would absolutely recommend everyone, regardless of age, check it out. Even if it feels a little goofy and childish early on, stick with it and you will not regret it. One thing I did not expect in my rewatch was just how much stuff from like season 2 came back in the last season, or the last 2 seasons, stuff that was, you know, kind of glossed over for these episodes. Ooh, a little mystery setup, and then all these seasons later we get a payoff for it. It's just really, really satisfying to watch, and it's wonderfully animated. It's got a lot of great music. I'll leave it there. I love Adventure Time. BoJack Horseman, we're going right back up to S tier, baby. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. Absolutely adore it. It got a little screwed over with its finale, but good God, I think they nailed it. It's not quite an F is for Family situation where it felt overly rushed. It was definitely kind of sprinting towards the end a little bit in that last season, but as a whole, it's a fantastic show, and it's a one that'll definitely make you think by the time you get to the end of it. So that one is S tier. Mr. Pickles, I've never really checked out. I've maybe seen an episode and didn't like it. It's just weird and gross and a little too over the top and too edgy for me. Kind of felt like a middle schooler's adult animated cartoon, but it's fine from what I saw, so I won't rank it, I guess. That's kind of a mixed bag of an answer there, but I just don't have a ton to say about it. I don't know what people think about it. I don't know if there's more, like, some merit to it I'm just completely missing, so I haven't seen enough to form an opinion. I'm gonna move a few of these up that I'm not gonna rank. I think most, I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Spicy City, don't know what that is. I could talk about all of these. Okay. The Nut Shack, it's awful, terrible, no good, really, really annoying. Queer Duck, I've seen more Queer Duck. These two right here, Queer Duck and Hard Drinkin' Lincoln, are both Icebox originals, I believe. And Icebox was a website way back in the day for independent animation projects and independent like comedy projects. I think mostly animation. It's been a little while since I did the research on it. But Hard Drinkin' Lincoln, I can't really rank it. I don't remember seeing much of it. Queer Duck's kind of cool. I'll put it in C. It's fine. It's not anything insane. I think it had a movie that I haven't seen, but the little episodes and snippets I saw, it was neat. It was fine. It was just a show. Nothing too crazy. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Now, I had to go through a bit of mental gymnastics to allow this one on the list. We're talking about the new season, which is technically animation because you're taking inanimate objects and animating them via puppetry, and there's stop motion and stuff like that in it too, and traditional animation. So I'm gonna add it, but that means we had to add another show to the list, which you will see later. Won't spoil the surprise. The TV show is really, really great. I'm gonna put it in A. It's not quite S yet for me, but it's very, very good. I won't say any more on it. If you like animation, or Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, or just weird stuff, watch the TV show. Moving right along to one I added, Slippin' Jimmy Goes in Black and O'Gwen, the lowest tier rating possible. If you don't know what this is an animated spin-off, little mini-series that I believe AMC Plus did to have content that was Better Call Saul related, the spin-off of Breaking Bad, to fill out the gap between the mid-season finale and the second half airing of that last season. Now, we all know why streaming services break up shows into 2 chunks when they release them. It's because that's the best way to watch it. No, that's actually not why. It's because they want to have more of your money and force you to stay subscribed to their platform for an extra month. AMC Plus is horribly overpriced. It's one of the worst streaming platforms out there, and I will stand by that. I got it for The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead sucks! It's terrible! Read the comic. If you want to watch Better Call Saul, you can do it on Netflix now. I have strong feelings about Netflix, but good God, is it better than AMC Plus, because they put out Slippin' Jimmy, which is a lazy, thrown-together pile of trash that I truly feel sorry for anyone that had to work on this, because it's very clearly a corporate product trying to garner some more attention and eyes on their platform. So maybe some people will check out AMC Plus so they can watch Slippin' Jimmy and make a video on it. I watched this pile of shit directly after the mid-season finale of Better Call Saul. And that is a tone change that no human being should go through. I nearly got whiplash. Fuck this show. It's terrible. I hate it. I would make a lower tier for it, but I think Black and O'Gwen is perfectly fair for how bad that show is. Happy Tree Friends! This is one I was conflicted on last time. I'm less conflicted on it now. It's a D for me. It's, you know, horribly gory, and it's all shock humor. It's all for shock value. That's the whole gimmick of it. I mean, it's you kind of show it to your friends, and you're like, look how crazy this is. But I can't imagine anyone being like, all right, I just got off work at the coal mine. Time to sit down with a beer and watch some Happy Tree Friends. I don't see any human being doing that because it's just not that kind of show. It's like a weird like conversation starter for middle schoolers. Like, look how crazy this is. That's Happy Tree Friends to me. So we'll just move on. Border Town. Border Town is F. I was almost going to put it in Black and O'Gwen, but I don't think it's that horrible. I do think it's horrible. So it's going to go in F, and we're going to put it right next to The Cleveland Show, because I kind of think of these two shows in a similar vein, where it's just, yeah, nothing. Just nothingness. Just garbage. Todd McFarlane's Spawn. I have not finished this miniseries. I think it's technically 3 seasons. I could be wrong. I watched the entirety of the first season and was going to do a video on it. Didn't wind up getting around to it because I didn't think many people would be interested. I guess I'll use this opportunity as a chance to garner that interest, because Spawn is an A for right now. Haven't finished it. It's definitely closer to an S. Todd McFarlane's Spawn on HBO Max is one of the coolest things you will ever see. It's really well written, it's really well animated, and it's direly serious. Like, it has a tone to it that is so downtrodden and gross and evil, and it works so well for the character and the story that they're presenting. It's just incredible. I really, really love Spawn. I had some of the comic books back in the day. They're probably on the shelf behind me right here. But I never really thought too much of it. I never thought to like dive into it. And the TV series is really, really cool. It is definitely adult animation though. It is, oh boy, it's something. It really is something. If you want to see what evil looks like, look to Spawn's first season and you'll get a pretty good taste of it from some of the characters. It's a really, really cool show, and I can't wait to watch more of it. Here we go. Okay, I forgot I added this one. This is the Clone High revival from this year, which I was initially pretty positive on and have since become less positive on. I'm going to put this in C for right... Well, no, because these are kind of okay. I'll put the Clone High revival in D for right now. And I know some people really loved it. That's perfectly fine. I can see why people could kind of get behind this show and still enjoy it. I feel like it messes up in 100 different areas. And the fact that the best episode of a show called Clone High, which is a revival of a beloved cult classic, which is on this list, I'll still rank that. The fact that the best reviewed episode, the best one in everyone's opinion, or the majority of opinions, I should say, not everyone's, was the episode that didn't focus on any of our main cast of characters. It focused on the side characters with Scudworth and Mr. B. The fact that that happened just kind of shows me that this show was not interested because of the new characters they put in place. Even the older characters weren't as interesting as they were before. They kind of got watered down. We're missing one of the main characters with Gandhi being gone. It's just a completely different show, and it does not work as well. It's almost like you take an indie cult classic, like, we're bringing it back, and then you try to transform it into something else, which completely misunderstands why indie cult or not indie cult classics, just cult classics. I don't know why I said indie. Small one-offs, shows that didn't get a chance, not independent. I want to make that clear. This was not an independent project before or after it came out. I don't know why I said that. But Clone High, the revival is just missing what made the original show so special. And I think D is where I gotta put it. I don't have a whole lot to say. We're gonna do a quick costume change because I'm sweating like a dog. Look at that. Costume change flash. Okay, we are back. I put on my cat riding a shark shirt. Feeling better now. I got a candle going. I still got my tea. I think we're ready to carry on this Christmas tradition. All right, real quick, just gonna sort through a few of these that I either have no opinion on, or I guess I could talk about Crank Yankers a little bit. Don't know what that is. I could talk about that. Okay, we can talk about all of these next ones. Castlevania. Haven't finished Castlevania. Castlevania is very good. Gonna put it in B. Liked it a lot. I still have my Netflix subscription for another week or so. Maybe I'll try to get through that one. We'll see. But Castlevania is pretty dang good. Father of the Pride. I did a little tidbit on this one, a little breakdown in my last tier list video. This was a 3D animated show about the lions in the Siskel and Ebert show? No, that's not right. Siskel and Ebert are the film crew. What are the lion guys? Sigmund and Freud, right? Sigmund and Freud? Siegfried and Freud. Oh, who cares? They're guys that got mauled by a tiger or whatever. Those guys. I've seen maybe an episode of it. I have no idea where I would rank this. I really have no clue. I'll just put it down in no opinion. I have no earthly idea. It's just a strange show. Crank Yankers can go an F. I don't care about it. It's never hooked me. It's not for me. Not for me. Forget about it. Italian Family Guy. F. Easy. Bad show. Didn't like it. Went on for longer than I thought. Was gonna do a video on it. Started watching it. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Gotta move on. King of the Hill, I have seen a lot more of King of the Hill now than I had before. I don't think I'm even fully caught up yet. There is a lot to get through. But King of the Hill is a solid A for me. I really, really love King of the Hill, because when King of the Hill's mediocre, it's kind of like, all right, that's pretty good. But when it's really good, there's this, it's the grounded quality that I feel like only the creator behind this show could have, and his name is escaping me. I said it earlier. Oh god, the creator of King of the Hill, Mike Judge. Good god, Mike Judge. Maybe I said his name wrong earlier. Mike Judge created King of the Hill and a bunch of other stuff that I love. There's a quality to King of the Hill that I feel like only he can really capture, and it's that weird kind of, it's hard to even put into words. It's the way that the characters live and the way that they react to situations around them feels like something you would see actual people do, but they'd be the people kind of in your neighborhood or your area. They're like, oh, that guy's kind of strange. They're a little bit eccentric. They have their strong likes and their strong dislikes. They all have very clear, like, moral compasses and guidelines for how they live their lives. They have expectations for others and themselves. And the fact that all these characters have all these rule sets and all these disciplines that they adhere to makes every single episode feel like it has these unique opinions on every single subject that comes up. It's just cool. It's a well-written show with good characters. It's kind of dropping off towards the end there. Maybe it's closer to a B than an S in my book, but I really love King of the Hill and I really love Mike Judge. Add on top of that, you should also check out Office Space. Not animated, but very good. Daria, I have seen. I have not rewatched it yet. I don't really have an opinion on it, just because it's been so long, but eventually I'll get back to that one. Dilbert. Do you guys remember Dilbert, the comic strip? Okay. Dilbert. The creator is like an insane person, from what I remember. It's been a while since I looked into that whole situation. The show's not bad. I remember liking it a lot. It's been a while since I've seen it, maybe 3 or 4 years. I guess we'll put it in C. I watched it a lot as a kid, and I probably shouldn't have, but it's pretty good. There's some great little tidbits in there, some great little stories. It's all right in my book. Oh, look at this. Next up, Santa Inc. We have another for the Black and O. Gwyn category. Santa Inc., if you don't remember, I'm kind of doing a cosplay of it right now. It was a show about the North Pole, and Sarah Silverman is an elf who's an up-and-comer and wants to be the next Santa or some bullshit. It's awful. It's really, really awful. It's overly political. It's incredibly preachy. It's poorly written. Everything that's set up with the characters feels like half-heartedly thrown together. It seems like they're setting it up to go one way, and then the story just completely falls apart. Because the whole point is like, oh, Santa might be replaced one day, and it's toxic masculinity, the way that we're handling the Santa Claus situation, or some other dumb bullshit thing that the writers read on Twitter and they think that Twitter is how the world works. It's just woefully tone deaf. It doesn't feel like a Christmas show. It feels like a lecture from someone who used AI to scan all of Twitter for a bunch of the biggest buzzing topics right now. It's just a pile of crap, and no one should watch it. Don't really know what that is. The Head and The Max. I think it's The Head. Both of these shows I desperately want to watch. The Max is only like 7 episodes or something like that, and it's got a pretty cool premise, but I haven't watched them yet. Haven't checked them out. Farzar! Guess where we get to go back to? Black and O'Gwen! That's right, that's all 3 of them, baby. We've got Brickleberry, Paradise PD, and Farzar. 3 massive piles of garbage, and I feel sorry for the people that have to work on this show, except for the creators, Roger Black and Waco O'Gwen, who I think are, well, less so Roger Black. When I see Roger Black in interviews, he kind of seems like, I don't know, he seems a bit more chipper, he seems a bit more humble. Well, Waco O'Gwen seems like a massive, massive asshole. And I'm no personal attacks or anything, but when you talk about your show and you're talking about criticisms toward it, and you're talking about reusing jokes and gags and characters and doing this really lazy sort of style of comedy consistently, when obviously this team, whatever you can say about Roger Black and Waco O'Gwen, they know how to pitch a TV show. They've gotten 3 made, all right? They either have some really powerful friends or they're very, very good at pitching. So there's some skill there, for sure. There's very clearly a talent that these 2 have, but it's not making funny adult animated TV shows. It's getting adult animated TV shows made, which is really frustrating because there's so many of these shows that we're going to talk about and that we've already talked about, like Mission Hill, for example, that only got 1 season, and it's better written, it's better animated, it has way more unique qualities to it that doesn't make it feel like a cheap Family Guy ripoff. It's just so great and unique, and it didn't get any time to shine, and it most likely never will. There's talks of like a little reboot or spin-off, but I don't know if any of that's ever going to happen with Mission Hill. And the fact that these guys, Roger Black and Waco O'Gwen, got to make 3 shows and they basically just made the same show 3 times, that's laughably lazy. And it's honestly a waste of opportunity. And there's nothing worse than getting into a position that so many animators and writers would absolutely kill for. Imagine you're in the room with Netflix and you're like, I've got a TV show. It's unique, it's not like anything you've ever seen before, and sometimes those shows get made, but a lot of the time shows like Farzar and Paradise PD and Brickleberry get made, and it's just a damn shame. It really is. They're using their powers for laziness and evil, and this is in no way a personal attack, but I wanted to make it clear right now that I fundamentally disagree with how these 2 go about creating animated projects. They clearly can get them made, which good for you, but you're not making anything noteworthy, good, or memorable. Clone High is going into S. The original Clone High is one of my favorite things ever. It's great, it's well written, it's funny, it's got a cheap, unique looking art style that really doesn't show up with many other shows. It's kind of similar to like Total Drama, I guess, but there's a quality to it that just feels like a team of creators that have a ton to say and a ton of jokes, and they're very clearly just spitting everything they can, all their creativity onto the page, and it came together with Clone High, and the original Clone High first season is just incredible. I know I kind of danced around with Mission Hill not putting it into S tier, and The Critic for that matter. Mission Hill I think I'll leave in A, but I'm going to move The Critic now up to S tier. I'm going to ignore a few of my gripes. I do really love The Critic, and I do really love Clone High, and these 2 shows are part of the reason I'm so in love with adult animation, and especially adult animation that didn't get a fair chance, that was only around for maybe a season or so. 3 South, don't even know what it is. Dean Martin DDS, Doc Martin DDS, something like that. This show, I talked about it a little bit. I was really excited for its premiere as a kid because I love stop motion, and it sucks. It sucks really bad. It's an F. I don't think it's quite Black and O'Gwen because the animation style is still cool. I guess you could say the same thing for Santa Inc. It's got a really cool art style, but it's not a good show. So F it is. I'm okay with that for right now. Ow! Alf. That's right, the guy back there, Alf. Well, I was talking earlier about putting Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared on the list, and I used those mental gymnastics to add Alf to the list. It's not technically adult. It's a puppet, so technically it's a form of animation. Alf is going into S tier. Now, let me make this clear. I really love Alf just for how strange and weird it is. It's part of the reason I have all these, like, Alf plushies. My family, there's one up on the bookshelf too. There's one in my closet. My family knows that I have a weakness towards this show, and so they're constantly like, we found an Alf somewhere. Can we bring you an Alf? I'm like, sure, why not? So I've amassed a collection of Alf merchandise at this point. And there's something about the show that's just so weird and charming. I love it. I love it. It's one of those shows that I'll turn on in the background when I'm working all the time, or it's got a really weird Christmas special where, like, Alf is going around, like, bringing life into the world and sending life out of the world. It's just weird. It's right at that bridge between the 80s and 90s where things went from, like, these like super squeaky clean sitcoms to a more edgy 90s, and then that rolls into the 2000s. Alf was just kind of caught up in the middle of that transition, so it feels like a show from, like, the mid 80s, but it's actually from the later 80s. It's just, I could talk about it for hours. I really could. It's very, very weird. I guess it's probably the one show in S tier I probably wouldn't recommend people watch. Just because unless you see that and you're like, I have to know what the deal with that is, then you'll probably love it. And that's kind of how I am. It's just a weird concept in general, and I'm going to put it in S. Love, Death, and Robots. Love, Death, and Robots anthology series. Very, very good. Bit hit or miss. I'm going to put it in A. Gonna sort through these guys real quick. Haven't seen that one. Haven't seen Drawn Together yet. Don't know what that is. I watched an episode of this, Lucas Brothers Moving Company. It's the two guys from 21 or 22 Jump Street. I have no opinion whatsoever. The Shivering Truth, haven't checked it out. I can talk a little bit about Moral Laurel. I can't watch Frank. Hellbenders, that's right, Hellbenders is on here. I forgot about that. Oh man, whoever put this together originally, I think they don't have a Twitter account anymore. It was this guy, Daniel Duckman. Shout out for getting some weird stuff on here. Let's see, I want to get one more that we can, okay, I can talk about all of these. Tigtone. Tigtone is bad. I only watched Tigtone because Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media was in it, and I didn't like it that much. It was just too strange, too weird, couldn't get into it. Moral Orel. People have been talking about Moral Orel on YouTube so much this year. I kind of get why. It's a unique show that kind of goes to a very dark place as it continues on. I haven't seen all of it yet, so I know people say, like, oh, you gotta check it out, it gets so crazy. For me right now, it's like a C. It's kind of fine from what I've seen. It's a lot of dark humor. It's very downtrodden and kind of sad, but I didn't hate what I saw. It was pretty good, I guess. I love the animation. The animation is just like Davey and Goliath, that old Christian animated show, which I'm sure it's inspired by. So we'll leave that there. Hellbenders. I'm assuming this is the Hellbenders pilot that didn't get picked up. I'm gonna put Hellbenders in S. Don't at me. It's part of my upbringing. I can't escape it even if I wanted to. Teen Titans. This is one I added. The reason I added Teen Titans, despite it not really being an adult animated show, is because Teen Titans was probably the first animated show that I got, like, horrifyingly into. I watched it so much, so often. I just loved it. A lot of my older siblings loved it too. It's just great. I'm going to put it in A tier, not quite S. I haven't seen it in a little while, so I don't know if it's like S tier worthy based off my memory, but wanted to talk about it a little bit because this was like early foundational love of animation for me, was Teen Titans. Let's see what's next. The Oblongs. You know what? I have seen some of the Oblongs. Can't really form an opinion on it. Same with Camp Camp. Can't really say much about it. They're both a gig. Oblongs got cut down early. I don't really know the situation with Camp Camp. They've both made me laugh a little bit, but I don't really have enough knowledge to rank them. The Simpsons. Okay, we got to another big one. The Simpsons. The Simpsons first like 8, 9 seasons, something like that. Some of the best TV out there. It's hilarious. It's incredibly well written and it's insanely funny. But then after that, it becomes really, really mediocre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put The Simpsons in B. And I'm going to say it's closer to an A than a B for the first handful of seasons. And then it's closer to a C than a B for the mediocre stuff that followed. People say it's gotten better in the last 2 years or so, but I'll be honest, I'm just not that interested in it anymore. It's kind of, I've moved on from it now. I love the early stuff. And that's where I'll leave it. Mulligan. We talked about Mulligan this year. Netflix original Mulligan. I really, really wanted to love it because a lot of people that I enjoy worked on it or had voice roles on it. It's not good. It's bad. It's an F. Or should it be an F? It should be an F. It should be an F. It just has a fun concept of the world, you know, getting taken over by aliens, and then the survivors, after drawing them off and getting rid of them, they have to rebuild the world. That's a really interesting premise for an adult comedy, and they completely waste it. It's a waste of time. Do not watch it. Okay, I did a little bit more sorting into the haven't watched, no opinion. My voice is also starting to go out, which tells me we gotta start moving, because look at how much shit we've got left to talk about. The PJs, baby! The PJs! Remember the PJs? Remember the PJs? No? Okay, most people don't remember the PJs. I watched it because it was stop motion. D, I guess? I don't remember anything about it except for it's called the PJs and it's stop motion animated. Maybe it should be in this one. I don't know. We'll just move on. Crash Canyon. Crash Canyon. I want to make sure this is the right show. Yes. Crash Canyon is god awful. It's so bad. It's so bad, I don't even know how to really put it into words. It's like a Family Guy knockoff, big piece of crap. Haven't seen all of it, but I will put it in this one because from what I have seen, it's just the most generic, brain-dead adult animated show you could possibly watch. It's just nothing. It's like Paradise PD or Farzar or Brickleberry, where it's just nothing. It's just everything they had that they thought they would be funny put in. Let's make it like Family Guy, I guess. That sort of stupid kind of adult animation. Samurai Jack! I'm not fully caught up on Samurai Jack, but I love Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is going into A. It would be S, but I have not finished it. I know we made exceptions already for a few of those, but we're just going to move on and not think about it too much. Aeon Flux. I watched some of Aeon Flux, a long time ago. I don't actually know if I can rank this one. I left it here to rank it, and now now that I dig into my memory, I can't actually remember that much from it. So I guess I won't rank that one. Mike Tyson Mysteries is a very, very special show for me. Not because of Mike Tyson, honestly, could take or leave him, because Norm Macdonald is in it. That's why I love this show so much. Norm Macdonald plays Pigeon, and he's very funny in it. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald, my favorite comedian. I'm going to put it in A for Norm Macdonald. It's not quite an S. There's some drawback episodes, but it's a really fun, like, ensemble comedy show that I don't feel like it's talked about enough. It's definitely worth your time, Mike Tyson Mysteries. I really enjoy watching it, and I still enjoy going back to it. It's a fun time. Final Space. It has been so long since I watched Final Space, and I haven't, like, fully caught up on it, I don't think even. I know there's a bunch of stuff going on with that whole situation right now. It's not really worth getting into. I'll put Final Space in B for right now just because I haven't finished it, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. Dick Figures, I guess, counts as adult animation. So, we'll put Dick Figures in D for Dick Figures. Undergrads. Oh boy, this is another show that I watched like freshman year of high school that got me really excited about animation. This and The Critic. I don't think Clone High was quite ready back then for me. Mission Hill, definitely. Undergrads is not as good as The Critic and Clone High. It's it's not as good as Mission Hill. I'd put it in B. It's fun. It's definitely nostalgic for me, so I'll admit that bias. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Last Man is. I've never seen Supermansion, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this. Oh, I've seen some of that. Okay. Velma. Okay, Velma. I talked about Velma this year a few times. I did a video saying that it getting a second season is a good thing, because then if it's bad, I never have to watch anything these creators put together again because they don't listen to criticism. And some people were a little confused over that video, so let me make it very clear. On this channel, I want to talk about as much good adult animation as possible, and I also want to warn against the garbage sometimes so people don't waste their time. And as someone that reviews adult animated shows on a pretty regular basis, I took a bit of a break from it this year, kind of spacing things out, and that's what the end of the year video is for, so I can talk about all the stuff that I've seen. As someone that does that regularly, going into a show and just waiting and waiting and waiting through 10 goddamn episodes to form an opinion on it, it's a lot easier to understand the people behind a project rather than the project itself. And in the case of Velma, it's awful. It's genuinely awful. And it's going in Black and Oak Wind. I don't think anyone should watch that first season. However, the animation and art direction and the use of color is all very, very good. There are some animation mishaps, I would say, that I noticed in the later episodes that I don't think I ever mentioned. But you can watch those episodes and you'll see tiny little things, tiny little things that you're only going to be looking for in shows like Velma, because Velma as a show is so boring and uninteresting and unfunny that you got to focus on something else. And the one really interesting thing about it is its art style and its art direction. But as a whole, the show is just a big steaming pile of crap. And I'm excited for it to get a second season, because just like I did with Big Mouth this year, I will check out an episode of it, and if it's terrible, again, if it's god-awful and overly meta and stupidly preachy and annoying, I won't watch it, and I will make notes of the writers and creators behind it and not check out what they're doing in the future, on the principle of this show has gotten a shit ton of hate. Let's be super hyperbolize it and say that Velma had 80% of non-constructive criticism thrown at it just from people hating it as a concept, as the show. Let's say that and say that there's 20% constructive criticism. I did my best to give constructive criticism in that video that I did, talking about why getting a second season is a good thing. If they cannot take that constructive criticism with their second season and put together something good with characters that have goals and ambitions, writing 101 crap, okay? Simple stuff. If they cannot put together a satisfying show on their second attempt, when so many shows don't get a second attempt, I don't want to see what you do in the future, because I've got a lot of stuff to see, all right? If I do a video a week on this channel, that's only like 50 some odd videos in a year. If I'm taking weeks off, or if some take longer, there's not enough time for me to sift through your garbage that you're putting out, team behind Velma, okay? There's not enough time, and frankly, none of these reviewers have time for it either, and I think it is a good thing to know for certain that someone either can or cannot learn from constructive criticism. But I will say this, it's not a blank write-off, okay? If Velma Season 2 is awful, I will write off the people that worked on it, not the animators, but the writers and the creators behind it, the creative minds behind it that were putting together the story, because that's where it really struggled. I will write them off until, for one, they take accountability, like, yeah, okay, it wasn't that good, but now we're going to try to learn from criticism. All I need is that. All I need is that acknowledgement, and I'm willing to try what you put out in the future. That's all I need. That's all I need. And if you're going to stand behind Velma and say, it's great, it's fantastic, we love everything about it, then you are not learning anything. You're genuinely not, because there are problems within Velma from a writing standpoint that just shouldn't be in a TV show that is created with that big of a budget. It just shouldn't happen. Similar to Mulligan. Mulligan had a bunch of issues in the same way, and I think a lot of it is people coming over from non-animation sects in entertainment and trying to get into adult animation and not understanding how to take advantage of that medium. And both these shows share that problem, and I think I'll leave it there for right now. Velma's bad. Ricky Gervais show, or Ricky Gervais anime, I don't actually know what it's called. I've seen clips of it. It's kind of funny. That's all I got. Let's work through a couple of these. I've seen Celebrity Deathmatch. I have no opinion on it. That, I think, is the Jaden Smith show, maybe? I don't know. Don't know what that is. Oh, I don't know. Nope, don't know. The Amazing Digital Circus. I picked this image because it made me laugh right as I saw it. The Amazing Digital Circus, Jesus. The Amazing Digital Circus is a new indie animated show up on YouTube that you can watch. Chances are you've already seen it because it's at like 200 some odd million views or something like that now. It's very, very good and charming. I'm going to put it in B. I think it's really, really good. I like it a lot. I can't wait to see what they do in the future. Reason for putting it into B, if you're like, what the hell, Mr. Cow? Why? Well, it's only one episode that we have right now. Based on the one episode, I get it's indie animation, so I'm willing to still give it a ranking. It's good. You should check it out if you haven't already, if you like animation, and it's free on YouTube. The Amazing Screw-On Head is a single pilot episode that I talked about this year that I absolutely loved. I am horribly pissed off that it did not get picked up by Sci-Fi, because I thought it would have been great. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful show. Also available on YouTube if you want to check out the pilot. I'm going to put it in A, not quite S, because it is just a single episode. It's a really, really good single episode. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like a full show of it would probably be S tier worthy, but it's not quite there yet. Stone Quackers, I've seen like an episode of. Look, I never watched. Oh, a beloved classic, Wizard So-So. I did a video on Wizard So-So like 2 years ago, something like that. I said it sucks. It's hilariously bad though. That's the one flaw I made with that video, is that I don't think I conveyed how funny this actually is. So Wizard So-So is gonna go in S. Not gonna think about it. And we're gonna work through some of these real quick. Full English, don't know. Axe Cop, don't know. High School USA is an easy F. It's just not good, not worth your time. There isn't really much more to say about it than that. A lot of these I'm gonna have to work through. This is the animated Spider-Man series that I was really hard on and some people got upset about. I stand by it. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's an F. I may have put it in F last time. I don't think it's an F. I'll put it in D. I'll put it in D this time. It's a 3D animated series from what I remember. It might be something else, but the one I'm thinking of is the 3D animated series from back in the day when I was a kid. Haven't seen it since when I was a kid. I hated it. Okay, hold on 1 second. I have to make sure I know what this is. Okay, this next one took some research because I had completely forgotten about this. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to put it. Like, you know what? It's probably, I'll leave it right here for now so we can talk about it. Gen Z, from what I remember, was an independent animation project that never released. So I'm a little confused why it's on here, but I think I know why it's on here is because this show was incredibly controversial from the promo coming out. A lot of people jumping down its throat for cheap looking animation that wasn't great, bad voice mixing, but on top of that, the show was a big push in another direction to have a lead transgender character played by a transgender voice actress, which I think riled some people up, and on top of that, the show just didn't look very good. It's very much like the new Saints Row reboot, where it feels like older people trying to write for younger people and not understanding what it's like to be actually young. Believe it or not, I'm roughly in the age range, I believe, of the characters in this little promo, and if I met anyone that talks about things like they talk about it like it's Twitter. These, again, we're talking about, it's similar to Santa Inc., people coming up with premises for shows based off what they read on Twitter, thinking Twitter is the real world, which I know it sounds crazy. It's like, oh, Twitter can't have that much pull and like influence over people, but it absolutely does. It absolutely does for some people that are susceptible to that sort of thing, that can get wrapped up into it, into the arguments, into the friends they make, into the, you know, way they network on this app. And that's sort of what Gen Z is to me, is just a complete miss in terms of trying to find an audience for your show, because people obviously weren't that interested in it. A lot of people shit on it. But the thing I remember about this show, because I can't form any opinions on a show, it's gonna go over here because it hasn't released. Like, I don't think there's any episodes out. I think it's technically lost media. But Gen Z, sure, controversial. I don't care about any of the controversies or anything political that might be wrapped up into it. What I care about with Gen Z is that on some YouTube channel, that might be the official YouTube channel, I don't remember, they have the promo, and then they have a bunch of panels from Fandomverse or Comic-Cons that they went to talk about the show. And then, for some reason, they did like a Doritos commercial. I'm not kidding. They took the original animation from their promo and reworked it into a Doritos commercial. Now, it might not be official. It might not be official. I like to believe it's official, because the original pitch for this show is that it's empowering for people in the trans community because we have a transgender voice actress voicing a trans character. And then they took that and completely commercialized the original animation and premise for a Doritos commercial. Just look at this.
Alan, some people call this an intervention. I'd like to call it an intertransitional homosexual turnaround fiesta. Surprise! It's a Super Bowl party. Surprise number 2, I forgot to buy the Doritos.
The only reason I came was for the Doritos.
Look, pics on Instagram from a cosplay party up the street, and there's Doritos.
We've come for your Doritos.
Now, I have read that this was actually the team behind it that made this Doritos commercial. Like, maybe they got paid to rework something. Like, can you animate us a Doritos commercial and it'll work as a plug for your show? Something like that. And they just reused a bunch of animation. And what makes it so, like, shockingly funny for a lot of people, including myself, I should say, is that you go from this premise of a show that you're very excited about, regardless of how other people feel. Let's say the team behind Gen Z is very excited about putting together this show for a generation that feels out of place and for people that don't have representation in media. Let's take that and let's turn it into a Doritos commercial. Like, that's hilarious to do that, because it just shows what the real motives behind this project were. It's just pandering. It's people that don't have a finger on the pulse of real people. It's people that think that Twitter is how the world works. And this is the final product. I don't know why it's on here. It's surprising to me. It's a neat little tidbit, I guess, that now you know about, that there was a piece of indie animation that didn't pan out, and then they reused some of the promo animation for a Doritos commercial, trivializing everything they had tried to set up in the past and essentially killing any kind of buzz around this piece of media that they were putting together. So there's that, I guess. Okay, sorted through a few more. We will do Red versus Blue next, which again, don't know why this one's on here. Again, kind of independent animation made in like Halo 2 or Halo 3. God, I don't even remember where it was made. I used to watch a lot of Red versus Blue back in the day. I'll put it in C just for that. I don't remember nearly anything about it, if I'm being honest. The Slim Shady Show! Remember the Slim Shady Show? Everybody, it's an F. It's awful. It's not good. The Slim Shady Show is not good. Mother Up, I have seen a handful of episodes on. I was going to do a video on it. Didn't wind up doing it just because it didn't wind up panning out. And then I think later Saber Spark did a video on it. And so I kind of felt like, all right, good. Someone else talked about it. I don't have to worry about it. I can just move on to other things I'm more interested in. I'll put it in F just because it didn't grip me even in the slightest. It's just kind of a nothing show. Not nothing in the way of like Crash Canyon or Farzar or Paradise PD. Nothing in like, it's like inoffensive and just kind of like, it's a Family Guy knockoff, whatever. It's sort of like forget about it, but Brickleberry, Paradise PD, Farzar, Crash Canyon, everything in Black and O'Gwen tier is like dumbfoundingly bad. Like mistakes made on the ground floor that maybe a high schooler would make when they're writing their first script, but adults should not be making those same mistakes. Okay, Sonichu, the animated series. I watched this when I was very young. It was animated, I believe it was animated by Corey Spazkid, Corey from Oni Plays, if you've ever watched that channel, or if you've ever seen animation on Newgrounds, chances are you've probably seen something of his, or something of that crew's. I mean, it's not great. I like some of the people that work on it, I guess. Chris Chan has kind of fallen off recently. I feel like people don't, you know what, we'll put it in, I don't even know how I felt about this when I saw it. I don't remember if I laughed or if I was just taking it in for what it was, or if I was just watching it because I liked Corey. I don't know. See? I guess. Above Happy Tree Friends? Maybe it should be on the same tier as Happy Tree Friends. Just because it is kind of shock humor, and I don't know, man. With the PJs, people will get mad if it's, we'll just do D for now. I don't remember where I may have put that one in S last time for all I know. Harley Quinn, I have seen some of Harley Quinn now, and I've really liked it. I've really liked what I've seen of Harley Quinn. Sometimes it's kind of annoying. Other times it's genuinely really funny. I'll put Harley Quinn in C for right now. I'm kind of hoping to watch more of it over the Christmas break and maybe do a video on it, because it's gone on for longer than I thought, and I was kind of turned off from it because my favorite DC stuff is like the Batman Arkham, kind of approach, where it's a little bit darker, more grounded and gritty. I like that new The Batman movie a lot with Robert Pattinson. But I just was turned off from Harley Quinn for some reason. And what I've seen so far has been really funny and cool. Has Been Hotel. There should be another one on this list that I always get it confused with. Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. I'm going to take both of these and put them up into S, despite me not being fully caught up, just because I like what they represent in indie animation, and they're both pretty damn cool. They're worth checking out for sure. Tuca and Birdie is a pretty good show that I'm honestly forgetting more and more as the days go by. I'll put it in B for right now. Right next to The Amazing Digital Circus. Bless the Hearts. I said this last time. Bless the Hearts is like worse King of the Hill, sort of. So Bless the Hearts, I guess I'll put in D. Keep Sonichu away from it. I don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. Primal, please don't get upset with me, but I have not seen Primal yet. I've been meaning to watch Primal, and I still have not gotten around to it. And it's a damn shame, because everything I've seen from Primal has looked incredible. Eddsworld, I don't remember enough about Eddsworld to rank Eddsworld. Don't know what that one is. This is Code Monkeys. I remember that. Don't remember watching it. Weekend Pussy, yeah, no clue. Solar Opposites, haven't seen the new season. It really struggled for me, so I'm gonna put it in C. A lot of the time it was just saying names of movies were most of their jokes, and that got really old after a while. It's one thing if you kind of, run into that humor every once in a while, but it just didn't work for me. Rick and Steve, don't know what that is. Sit Down, Shut Up, I do know what that is. This is what I like to call worse Arrested Development. If you want a good show with whatever the guy from Arrested Development's name is, and Will Arnett, and Henry Winkler, I believe, is in it also, just watch Arrested Development. I love, I forget what the guy's name is now. Jason Bateman, I think. They have great chemistry together, and they're very, very funny. Sit Down, Shut Up is not a good representation of them working together at their best. The best representation of that is Arrested Development. And if you want to see them in other stuff, watch Will Arnett in BoJack Horseman. Watch Henry Winkler as Gene in Barry. And then Jason Bateman, I don't really know what else you... Ozark, you could watch Ozark. That's another good show if you want them individually, but if you want them all together, do Arrested Development. Do! My favorite show, Do! I don't know what that is. Forgive me. I said I went through some of these. I don't know what either of these are. Slacker Cats, haven't seen. Duncanville is very generic. I think it's done. I'll put it in D. It's nothing. There's nothing really to say about it. Midnight Gospel is an easy S tier for me. It's only one season. It's only going to be one season. And for a single season, I think it's really interesting. Animated, or at least animation directed by Pendleton Ward. Created in tandem with Duncan Trussell, I used to listen to his podcast a lot back in the day when I was biking to work and whatnot. And really love some of the guests he has on, and he has really interesting conversations. And that's basically just what the Midnight Gospel is. It's a podcast animated beautifully by Pendleton Ward and company. It's a lot of fun. It's really great. It's on Netflix. It is worth your time if you're into big, too big of conversations for podcast subjects where they're talking about different religions and what happens after you die, big themes and subjects talked about by kind of casual people with a really, really great animation coat of paint on top of it. Central Park, don't think I've seen it. Inside Job, I think I put in C last time, and this time it's an easy B after that second season, which I don't think I had seen at the time of doing my last tier list video. I hadn't seen the second season. That made me really enjoy the show and get excited for the next one, the second part of the first season, not the second season, but that second installment of episodes in November of last year, I believe. And I really liked it, and I was excited for what came next, and then they canceled it, which is no good. Invincible is great, not caught up on it in the slightest, haven't seen anything from season 2. It's gonna go in A for right now for season 1. Smilin' Friends, baby! Smilin' Friends. We're talking about another member of the Only Plays and Newgrounds crew. Or I guess two members, because it's Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel. Which Michael Cusack has a couple of other shows down here that I haven't seen, which we'll have to put in the no opinion. Smiling Friends is A for right now. It would be S, but I'm going to give it a little bit more time just to sit on it. I really, really love it, but we need a little bit more time to see what they got in season 2 now that we know that's coming. So there's always a chance for them to drop the ball. Don't do it though. But hey, speaking of drop the ball, Hoops. Where do you guys think Hoops will go? If you know what Hoops is. Hoops was a Netflix original, adult animated comedy about a basketball coach who wants to be a big-time basketball coach, but isn't. It's going in this tier. Hoops is the perfect example of how to not write a main character. The main character of Hoops, the coach, whatever his name is a gigantic asshole who never learns anything and takes advantage of everyone around him. And everyone around him is incredibly annoying and unrealistic, unrelatable, and just stupid. It's a bad show. It's a really, really bad show. If you ever want to see what not to do when putting together a main character for a show that's like, I'm the edgy guy that always has a comeback and is super witty. That's what they wanted the main character in Hoops to be, and it just came across as annoying, egotistical, mean, really, really mean, angry, vindictive, just terrible. Haven't seen Mama Name Me Sheriff, haven't seen Q-Force, haven't seen that. Touch. I think these are, is it Teenage Euthanasia or is it YOLO? I think YOLO's the other Michael Cusack show. Oh, there's no Koala Man on here. I forgot to put Koala Man on here. God damn. And then Bird Girl. I haven't seen Bird Girl yet. Is that it? I added 14 files. We're 14 files larger than last time, and we're already done only an hour and 40 minutes into recording. It flew by, didn't it? Well, I guess let's see how I did here. In S tier, it's Xavier, Renegade Angel, Futurama, Home Movies, Adventure Time, BoJack Horseman, Clone High, The Critic, Alf, Hellbenders, Wizard So-So, Hell of a Boss, Has-Been Hotel, and The Midnight Gospel. In A tier, South Park, Harvey Birdman. I'm pretty happy with all this. You know what I might do is I'll move Amazing Screw-On Head into S. And you know what? I haven't finished the 4th season. Let's just pretend the 4th season doesn't exist of the Boondocks, and I'll put it in S. And I'll leave that be. American Dad and B, okay. Metalocalypse, okay. I'm okay with all this. I think, you know what? We'll move Amazing Digital Circus up to A, just in case people are like, yeah, it's a B. I can check it out later. Check it out. It's really, really cool. It's worth your time, and there's more stuff coming in the future. This all looks fine to me. D tier looks fine. My tier list, bitch. I'll be real, I can't remember almost anything from Sonichu the Animated Series. I just remember it being one of the first animated things I saw on YouTube. I don't think I even knew who Chris Chan was at the time. I just liked Sonic. I just liked Sonic, and I watched it, and I was like, this is fucking crazy. But again, that's another fundamental thing that I had to see for the first time back in the day was independent animation popping up, and people from Newgrounds like Corey Spaz Kid or like Zach Hadel with Smiling Friends. So I'll bump that one up for what it represents, not actual representation of the show. And then these look fine. Clone High Revival being in D makes me a little upset. I'd like to put it right on the line because it isn't like that god-awfully horrible, but it is not good. But the rest of it looks good. I don't know where. Oh, you know what we could do? There we go. And okay. I think that's good. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. A very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you. This was, as always, a lovely time. I love going through this and just kind of seeing how my opinions have changed over the years. I'm kind of curious how it would measure up to my old tier list. Maybe we pull that up real quick. Memorize this in your mind. My S tier and whatnot. Or actually, I can just do the power of editing. We have Xavier, Renegade Angel, BoJack Horseman. It looks almost exactly the same. Was this not? I guess we added Boondocks. And I'm sure the Midnight Gospel is behind my head here. Maybe I get out of the way here in a second. A tier, Simpsons. It's all very. Oh, I had Simpsons in A tier last time, and now it's down to B. Okay, interesting. There's a fair amount of overlap Red versus Blue dropped down a few places. C tier for more Oral, again, that lines up. Inside Job was a C tier because I had only seen the first season at the time. This was August of 2022. So we're a little over, or we're more than over a year. But I guess the main difference is I've just seen more stuff than before. I don't think Sonichu was in S tier, but you know, different years, different placements. I don't remember if I talked about Gen Z last time or if I was able to talk about even some of these shows. It's still amazing to me just how many I haven't ranked on here. That's crazy. I guess I could have ranked Celebrity Deathmatch. I could have ranked the Ricky Gervais show. Maybe Bird Girl. I've seen an episode of Bird Girl. But you know what? There's always next year to come back and talk about some of these. And of course, add more shows to the list. Next year, I'll add the stuff from this year that I'm going to talk about in the end of the year video. Which I don't think there shouldn't be any overlap in this video, but it's still interesting. I have seen Spawn. That's a key difference. I've seen Spawn now. I hadn't seen that last year. But yeah, I think the main difference is I've just seen more stuff than I had before. We got Adventure Time on the list now. The S tier is getting bigger, which is always nice to have great stuff to watch. Maybe excluding this one. Maybe don't check that one out. But the rest of these are very worth your time. Maybe if you can go back in time 10, 11 years, whenever this came out, probably longer than that, honestly. Maybe watch it for the first time then and just have your mind blown that people can make animation online, which is the position I was in. But I think that's a good place to leave it. Well, thank you all very much for watching this video. I'll get my festive hat on once again. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to become a cow. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all that stuff. New Year as well, but New Year's is most likely the time when my best and worst of 2023 video will come out. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed these tier list videos, make sure to subscribe because I think this is going to be the new Christmas tradition, to buy myself some time before the holidays so I can work on that big video and also to just kind of revisit how I'm feeling about shows, because it is really interesting to go back and see how some things shifted around and changed. More stuff gets added on that I can then rank. I see more shows that I can put on the board. And of course, let me know what you thought of my rankings. Let me know what you would have put where. What's your S tier show? What's your favorite adult animated show? Was I too hard on the guys that made Paradise PD and Brickleberry? Let me know in the comments. And I guess that's about it. We'll be saying goodbye to the face of Mr. Cow for a good long while because I don't get on camera too much these days, so sink it in while you can. That's all I got. Like and forget it, whatever. Goodbye, Merry Christmas, woo!